Hey guys, and welcome to another jQuery tutorial. Today's lesson, I'm going to show you how we can add a field to our forms, or there's other uses that you might find for it, where we can allow a user to draw their signature, and we'll capture that signature, store it on our server, and then we can regenerate it later on. So let me show you an example. I've put together a demo for you, and this is the URL right here for the demo. It's a live demo. So anyway, we have a form here with a field for a user can, draw their signature in here, and then when they submit the signature, we submit it to a PHP script that saves it, and then later on we can regenerate it here. So let me just show you. I'll write my name in here. And of course, it's not that easy to write with your mouse, but anyway, when we submit the signature and the page just kind of refreshes, and we can grab that signature. Look at that. Cool, huh? And this is done with a plugin that I found. It was written by a fella named Thomas Bradley, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But essentially, what this plugin does is captures this and stores it in JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. And then for this example, I'm just writing this to a text file, so it gets overwritten every time. But in a real world example, you'd want to store this in your database for each of your users, and then later on you could regenerate their signature. A couple cool things. This is really a cross-browser solution. This works. You see it here right now in IE 9, but it works in IE 7 and 8. It works in Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. I know I've tested in those browsers. I don't know about Opera or some of the other ones, but really those are the four major, most widely used browsers. One cool thing the plugin does is that IE does not support is using a custom cursor. So let me fire up Chrome here and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let me copy this URL real quick, and we'll go to Chrome, and it actually shows you kind of like a pin. IE doesn't support custom a URL for a custom cursor. Now, if you create a .curl file, you could probably make it work like that. But this is the way it operates in Firefox and Chrome and Safari. See the blue dot, and that's just an image that Mr. Bradley actually supplies with the plugin package that you could change. But I think it looks pretty cool. It's a lot better than just the mouse cursor. Anyway, it's not supported in IE as it stands. But so then, yeah, and we can just regenerate the signature at any time. So let me let's see here. Let's try something. Let's just write something else and submit it. Alright, and grab it back. Look at that, that's so cool. Anyway, I guess enough for patting myself on the back, because really the credit should go to Mr. Bradley for authoring such a cool plugin. Well, let's go ahead, and we're going to need the plugin package. So if we go to thomasjbradley.ca /lab/signaturepad, he's got some really good documentation too on how to use the plugin, how to configure it, what it's capable of, how it works, yada yada yada. Anyway, you go here, and he offers the tar.gz, but unless you have say like 7-zip or something like that, a archive extractor, you're going to need a free utility like that to extract that. But what I did was just went down here to right underneath signature pad works with this title here, and we can go to GitHub, and we click on that link. It takes you, he's got the code hosted here, and if you just click on this download link, then you can pick either a zip or a tar. If you just download the zip file, you can just extract that with Windows built-in zip utility. So anyway, I've already done that, and so let's go ahead and create our project. Well, we'll talk about it. Once you get that and you extract the folder, this is what you have. And inside of it, he's got some really nice examples that shows how to accept multiple signatures and how to regenerate a signature, and some things like that. It also has in the assets, this is the folder that we're going to be concerned with. This is all the stuff that we need. So I'm just going to leave that window open for just a minute, and we're going to create a new folder. And this is going to be our project folder. I'm just going to call it signature. Alright, and inside that, we're just going to keep this pretty simple and put everything right in the root. So I'm going to slide this over here. And again, inside of your extracted folder from Mr. Bradley's plugin package, inside the assets folder, we're going to need, for this example, we're not going to use these font files. One of the cool things about this plugin is if you have the option to allow the user to type their signature, and if they do that, then it prints it out in a nice like handwritten font. But we're not going to need that for this. What we are going to need, and what makes this work in IE 7 and 8, which don't support any HTML5 tags like the canvas tag, which is what this uses, is this Flash Canvas JavaScript and the Flash Canvas Swift file. Definitely going to need those two. Anyway, so I'm just going to highlight this and hold Control and highlight Flash Canvas, the jQuery for the signature pad. Oh, that's the CSS. I'm sorry, we don't need that file. We need the miniature.js file. We need the JSON file. His plugin has a couple dependencies as well, which are the Flash Canvas and this JSON too. Then we'll just grab this pin file as well. And holding Control after you have these, we can drag them over to our project file. And we're ready to start writing our own code. I'm just going to minimize that and close this window. Alright, now that we've got the required files that we need to make this work, let's jump into Dreamweaver. And this is, let's see, I can close that out. These are a couple PHP files that we're going to use a little bit later on to post this data and then get it back. For now, let's create a new document, and it's just going to be an HTML document. And inside of our body tag, I'm going to grab some code here that I'd already written, and we'll pop this in and we'll talk about it. So really all we're going to have here is a form, and then we're going to have another div with a canvas element in it that we use to display the signature back. Anyway, here's our form. Let me tab this over real quick here, and let's get into code view so we can see a little more of it. Alright, so the way this plugin works is, and everything is configurable, but it looks for certain class names on some of these attributes. And in Mr. Bradley's documentation, which is very, very good, it's a really good documentation. It's very clear. He says it's best to wrap your canvas element in a form tag to capture this stuff. So you could just add this to your existing form. But anyway, we've got a form here with an action attribute, this PHP file that I've already written, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. It has a class assigned to it of SigPad. And then just inside the form is just some stuff, you know. I got a paragraph tag, just typical things that you would have inside of a form, with the exception of this div here, which is this div that holds the canvas element where we actually draw the signature. And I took this from, a lot of this came from Mr. Bradley's site. He has several examples. He shows the actual HTML. Here's your form right here, the HTML template. Now I cut some of it out because some of the default configurations of his plugin I just wanted to be able to draw it like we talked about earlier. I didn't need anybody typing and so on and so forth. Anyway, so we got this form, and we've got our this div that has a couple of class names. It has a sig and sig wrapper class name, and inside of this div we have this canvas element, and that's the actual element that holds the drawn signature, or where you draw your signature. And then there's a hidden input field that has a class name of output. And this is where the plugin writes the JSON data to. And it's hidden, of course, so nobody can see it. But that's where the data is. And then so when you submit the form, this gets submitted to the server, and then that's where we do something with that JSON data so that we can either save it and return it later. And then I've just got submit button and a clear button. This class clear button doesn't really even need to be applied to this button, but if you wanted to use like a text link instead of a button to clear the form, then you would apply this class clear button to that text link. So we've got our form, and so let's preview this and see well, let's save it first. So file, save as, and let's go find our folder, which I saved on the desktop, and we called it signature. Right, here it is. So let's save this as index.html. Alright. And before we preview it, there's a couple things we need to do. We got to get some jQuery in here. We need to add those files that are this is going to be dependent upon. So right after our wrapper, this is a wrapper element that's holding our form, just to center it, gives it a little bit of styling, and so forth. So right after that, skip down the line here. Let's go to Insert, HTML, Script Object, and a script. And let's see here. Well, the first thing we're going to need is the jQuery library. So let's jump over back to Internet Explorer. We'll open up a new tab here, and we're going to go to Google's. We're going to grab Google's hosted jQuery, the jQuery library. Okay, here we go. So, and this is the URL to grab this for the jQuery library. Anyway, under jQuery and under the path, we're going to grab this right here and Control C. Get back out of there, and we're going to paste that into this source box. Control V, and then I'm going to get rid of this S because we don't need an encrypted connection. And we'll click OK, and that's inserted. Okay, now we have jQuery in our document. Let's add another one. Insert HTML script objects, script, and let's browse this time. So let's see here. Let's get into our correct folder. All right, here we are on the desktop and signature. All right. So then the next thing we need to include is this Flash. Let's include the Flash canvas.js. Click OK and OK, and let's do this again. Insert HTML script object script. Let's browse again, and let's include our jQuery.SignaturePad file. Click OK, and one more time HTML script object script, and this time we need the JSON2 JavaScript file, and I believe that's it. Okay. Okay. So we just need to make sure that jQuery is first. We include it before we include anything else. Let's go ahead and move signature pad up. We'll make it last. I'm sorry. Control X. Skip down. Control V. We'll include it last since it depends on these other two files. Alright, so now let's save this and preview it and see what we have. It shouldn't be much. So we'll preview an IE. Alright, allow block content. Okay. Great, but we can't draw anything. But it's because we haven't assigned the plugin to the DOM element that we're going to use yet. So let's go back to Dreamweaver here. So we have a form, we have our place to draw our signature, but we can't draw our signature. Well, let's take care of that. So let's create a new JavaScript file. File new and JavaScript. Create, and we can get rid of that. And so let's get our document.ready so that nothing happens until the document is loaded. Alright, and opening curly brace, skip down a couple lines, closing curly brace, closing parentheses, and a semicolon. And let's get this back over here. Alright, now inside of our document.ready, what are we going to do? Well, the default configurations for this plugin are not going to work for this example. Let me just show you here what he has. He has all these options that you can configure for this plugin, which is really cool. It's really nice. You can really change just about everything you want about the plugin and make it do any and everything, really. So what we need to do then is we're going to create a variable, and we're going to call it options. And this options is what we're going to pass to the plugin when we initialize it. And so I've already gone ahead and made a couple, for this example. This just shows some of the options that are available to you. So options is equal to opening curly brace, skip down a couple lines, and a closing curly brace. Alright. And some of the options we're going to configure on this is the default action. And the default action for our example is going to be a string called drawIt. D-R-A-W, draw it. And the default for the plugin is actually type it. So, and I've changed that to draw it. Then we need a comma, and our next option that we're going to change is draw only, and we're going to set that, it's a boolean, and we're going to set it to true. And then the next option is called line top, and it's an integer, and we're going to make it 70, and that's actually the signature line. How far from the top of the wrapper that it's in do we want it to be from? So we're going to say 70 on that one. And let's see, our line margin should be a lowercase. Line margin is 20, and of course that's right and left margins. And the default color for when you start drawing your name is a kind of a pretty blue color, but I'm going to change it to white since I have the background as a dark background. So pin color, and color is spelled C-O-L-O-U-R. Mr. Bradley, I believe, is a native of Canada, and so they spell color a little bit different than if you were in the United States. So anyway, just be aware of that. And it's a string, and you can pass in any hex color here. I'm going to pass in white. That's pretty much it for our options. So, and again, you saw that big long list of options that you can configure. But anyway, this is the easiest way to do it. We go in and we just select all the ones we want. We store them in a variable named options, and then we initialize our plugin. And to do that, we take jQuery and we tell it to look for the element with the class name of SIGPAD. And let's look at our HTML. That's this form right here that has the class name of SIGPAD. And then we just say signature, S-I-G-N-A-T-U-R, signature pad, and we pass in our variable of options. And really, if there's not a whole lot you want to do to it, that's it. That's as simple as pie to make it work. And of course, closing semicolon. So let's save this file, save as, and we'll save this as function.js, functions.js. Press enter. Alright, now we just need to include this file in our index. So after our signature pad reference, we'll skip down a line and insert HTML, script object, script, and we'll browse for that file we just saved, which was functions.js. Hit OK, OK, and it's in there. And let's save this file. File save, And let's preview this in the browser and see what it looks like. Let's see, I guess we already got it in the browser. We can just go and refresh the page here. Refresh, and look at that. Huh, we can do whatever. Clear it. We can write whatever we want. So that's really, in a nutshell, that's it for grabbing the plugin, configuring the plugin, and adding it to your page in your form. So I think I'm going to end this video here, and in the next video I'll show you how to post this to the server, save the data, what the data looks like, and then regenerate it like we have in the example here, where we post the data to the server on submit, and then we can get it back like this. So stay tuned for part 2, guys.